Hi, and welcome back to my channel, My Tax Guy, where we discuss all things tax. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about these delays. They have been humongous. They have been the longest I've seen in a while. And it doesn't look like they're going to clear it up anytime soon. And I'm going to take you through a couple of key things that you need to do to help get you not only through the delays, but how to get answers. It's really important that you know basically where to go and what your resources and recourses are in case your refund or your responses to your notices doesn't look like they're being answered. Now, before we jump into today, just a couple of quick things. One, I want to continue to thank everyone for liking my videos and sharing them. I want to continue to grow the channel, and with your help, it'll be possible. So like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that little bell. You'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. And hopefully you're here and you go through my catalog, which is growing. So I'm always here to help. Also, feel free to email me your questions. I love to have new topics, maybe even things I haven't even thought of. Your feedback, of course, is always appreciated. So without further ado, let's jump into our topic. Now, one of the things that's going on with these delays is the states. And I'm going to start there. The states, and I do mean all 50 of them, have their own challenges. A lot of this stuff with the unemployment, I know, especially in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, our wonderful tri-state area, it is experiencing a very high level of fraud detection, whether it's intentional or unintentional. They are really going after these people to make sure that they're not only paying taxes on their unemployment, but making sure that the unemployment was actually claimed by the right people. I know recently, this year, as early as this year, they really cracked down and got a couple of rings, unemployment rings. They were just stealing left and right. One group of people got somewhere around 25 million. They had another set of people that got another 14, 15 million out of Jamaica, New York, and out of also Far Rockaway, respectively. So it's a really big thing when you talk about the unemployment benefits and the pandemic unemployment benefits, which is also unemployment benefits, and they're really trying to crack down on that. Are they going to be able to recoup all of that money? Probably not, but the fact that they're sending out notices almost to everyone that I could really think of, and a lot of people that I know personally who had unemployment, they're sending out notices to everybody. Basically, they want you to be like, hey, you need to prove that you need to prove that you needed the unemployment, and then we'll just go from there. Another issue, of course, with states, and I'll say mostly it'll be more states with bigger cities, like in New York, like in Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, even places like LA, Sacramento. One of the things that they're finding, and this is going to be utterly amazing, is that people literally are just not filing the unemployment, which is not a good idea. Unemployment is income. And as you know, Internal Revenue Service entire shtick is income. Really and truly, it's income. And so when you're getting money, there are very few sources of money where you don't have to worry about it being taxed at the federal and state level. And I'm going to tell you that even those things have guidelines. If they hit a certain threshold, you will be paying. A good point of fact is things like Social Security. Social Security has a cap. Let's say if you make $25,000 a year of Social Security and let's say your job, and it combines to $25,000, 50% of your Social Security becomes taxable. So you will have to pay some tax on that Social Security. So just to put that in your mind frame, if you work and collect Social Security and you go over $25,000, 50% of it becomes taxable. If it goes over $32,000, 85% of the Social Security then becomes taxable. And that's with combined. So let's say you work in a job again, you get 15,000 Social Security, 17,000 in your wages. Guess what? A portion of Social Security is then going to become taxable. So your tax burden is probably going to be a little bit higher than what you're used to, but even some states actually tax Social Security, which is utterly amazing. But yes, there are some states that still tax your retirement benefits like Social Security. So you got to keep that in mind as you're taking your retirement benefits, and also thinking about whether or not you're going to report or not report things in your tax return. Now, simply put, when you don't report the income, it is understating income is a form of tax evasion. Do not do it. Just don't do it. If you earn the money or if you have any questions, it is best to either ask the agency that's providing the benefit. Yes, you can actually call Social Security and go on SSA.gov and get your questions answered. It is much better to do it that way than to say, hey, I'm just not going to file at all. And that goes doubly for unemployment. Unemployment is a state benefit. Really and truly, it's a state benefit. Yes, your employer does pay it. And yes, they're working on trying to get it reclassified in most states. But until it's reclassified, it's still considered unemployment, or as we learned in my class, we called it unearned income. There are many names for it, but the gist of it is income that you technically aren't at work to earn, but it's income. So you have to claim it on your tax return. You do not get to say, hey, I'm not claiming it because it's under a certain dollar amount and I don't think it's going to have an effect on my return. That is not how that works. And that is literally what a lot of people is getting in trouble. Also the fact, and I'm going to be honest, the name they gave the pandemic unemployment assistance made people think that, some people that I've talked to, it made them think that a portion of it was like the stimulus checks. And again, those are things that you should probably be asking rather than assuming. If you have to assume stuff about the money that you're collecting, whether you're working for it or you're not at work for it and you're still getting it, if you have a question, again, go back to the source and ask the question. Unemployment has a phone number. Call them and say, hey, do I have to file a return for this, or do I have to add this to my tax return? And to be honest with you, they'll walk you through the process. Now, some of them may feel a little bit annoyed. That I can't help you with that. But it is important that you talk to someone and ask them. Don't assume when you don't do or you don't have to file something. Because a lot of people are getting these letters, and that's why I said whether it's intentional or unintentional that you're evading the tax. The fact of the matter is that it's still tax evasion. And so if you leave it off accidentally or purposely, it doesn't make a difference. You still have to get that filed. Now, there are a couple of ways to take care of that. You could always, of course, amend your return and get it done. That way, if you can catch it before you get a letter. But once you start receiving letters in the mail, typically an amendment will not fix that issue. No matter of fact, some of the letters will even tell you, do not amend the return. Just go through the calculations, see if you agree with our numbers. If you don't agree with us, let us know why. And I'm going to be honest, 99.99% of the time, those calculations are dead on. So you need to make sure that you're getting your stuff and you're filing all of your income. Now, as for back to the delays. The delays are numerous. There are notices that basically haven't been opened from maybe people who have answered them. There are faxes. There are just a ton of things and information that are at the state and federal tax agencies, and they're just not able to get to everything. But have no fear. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. The first thing is have some patience. Yes, that's going to be the first thing. This problem wasn't created overnight. It's not going to get fixed overnight. So whatever it is, you're going to have to take a deep breath first. Understand that there are human beings on the other side of this, and the process isn't going to go any faster with you going crazy, getting upset, things like that. Take a deep breath, keep a cool head, and now let's get to the phone. First thing I'm going to tell you is you need to start calling the IRS. If it's been more than 6 months since you sent them a response and you haven't gotten one back, or you've mailed in a return, you haven't gotten back an answer within that, I'd say within that 6-month time frame, you need to get them on the phone. I would usually tell people to wait 60 to 90 days. That's typically the waiting time for a response to a notice. But with everything that's happening with that mail backlog still being the biggest issue at the IRS, a lot of things that have been mailed to them still haven't been opened, and a lot of faxes that have been sent to them still haven't been seen because they're still working their way through that stuff. Even as we come to the end of the year and the last e-file day being tomorrow, which will be Monday, of course, with that e-file day right there looming, they'll be switching gears going back to those things. So you may see an uptick in a lot of mail and notices and responses and checks and things like that going out because they no longer have to focus on tax returns. At this time of year, 2022 returns, there aren't a lot going on. By this point, most people have them out. So you should be on the phone. You should be calling. Now, whoever you speak to on the phone, when you get an agent, you need to make sure you get their badge number and the person that you're talking to. And it is important because if you have to call back for any reason, or if you need to go through the advocate's office or legal aid or whatever the next step is going to be, you need to know the people you've been speaking to. Always get that agent's number. Always get their name. Keep it written down. Even if you call and you're only phone with them for 3 minutes, get their information. It is important to have that stuff because when you start talking about what's going on and who's explained what in the process, that becomes a thing that you're a resource that you're going to need to help you. The other thing I'm going to tell you is that be aware of whatever dates and time frames they give you. And if they don't give you one, ask. It is important that you know where you stand in the process. I was helping someone with their state audit, and one of the things that the person did when they called the first time without me is that they didn't. Well, what they didn't do, I should say, they didn't ask for a time frame. So when I got on the phone, I want to say it's about maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. The first question I asked after everything was done is, well, we sent out the information on this day and we were told 30 days. Who told you that? See, back to that agent, the ID number and their name. Well, who said that? Okay, we see your stuff on this day. Oh, well, you need to be a little more patient. Well, I have been patient. It's been 90 days for something I was told was going to take 30 days. Now, you do have some recourse there. One of the biggest recourses that you do have as a taxpayer, the Taxpayer Advocate's Office. That's mostly set up by the IRS. I'm not too certain if the states have those yet. Honestly, they should, but if they don't, it's fine. Taxpayer Advocate's Office handles a lot of matters. The reason why you want that Taxpayer Advocate's Office is because they work directly with the IRS. They're like an independent agent. Think of them like an arbitrator. What they'll do is they'll act on your behalf, and they will start putting pressure on the IRS to at least get you some workable answers to your questions of what's taking your refund for so long. The only caveat to the taxpayer's office currently is that they're only taking hardship cases. So if it's just a matter of you having to just wait, it is not enough. They're only dealing with people who are in the direst of straits, who need assistance immediately. So if like you're moving, or you have a loved one you're taking care of, or you're behind in your rent, things like that, and you're about to be homeless, those are the items that they're looking when they're going to go, hey, we're going to jump in, we're going to try to speed this along and see what happens. Now, to my understanding, the current IRS backlog is still in the double digits of millions. So anywhere between 15 to 18 million. So it's still a lot of mail and stuff left. So if you mailed in your return, or in some cases your amendment, there's a good chance that your envelope has not even been opened and looked at by anyone. And that is fine. But you need to keep in mind that after a certain number of days, you need to start picking up the phone and making phone calls. You want to get the name, the date, the badge number, the matter at hand. If you have a notice, you want to make sure that you have a copy of that notice and the day that you responded to it, whether you faxed it or whether you mailed it. Having days and times allows you to understand the process and allows you to get an answer to your question that is workable. I have one client, and be honest with you, she was really amazed when she finally got her refund this year from her 2019 tax return 2 years later. So those are the kind of backlogs I'm telling you that they are facing. But if you keep a level head and you ask the right questions and you follow the process and do the things that you need to do, you will come out much further ahead than people who just get upset and get frustrated at the process and don't follow through. That being said, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I appreciate your views and your subscriptions and your likes and your comments. And let's keep this thing going. Next week, we're going to have a whole new set of videos, and hopefully you enjoy those as well. Thank you, and have a good one, guys. See you out there.